Now I'm going to show you how to sew French seams. French seam looks like this when it's constructed. That is the inside, so this is the wrong side of the fabric. All the raw edges are enclosed within that seam, and that's the right side. So I'm going to start with putting the wrong sides of your fabric together. This is one of the scrub bags I'm making here. So this is my side seam. I put the wrong side of my fabrics together instead of the right side. You usually start the right side when doing wrong sides here. So come over to the sewing machine. Now if you're making the scrubs patterns, the scrubs uniform, it's got a 1 centimetre seam allowance on the patterns, on most of them. Now let's pull this out so I've got a bit more light so I can show you. And wake this up, there we go. So the seam allowance is the distance between the edge of the fabric and where you sew, but the total amount of the seam allowance is 1 centimetre. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew this at 1/2 centimetre first of all. So what you need to do on your sewing machine is find out where your 1/2 centimetre mark is, because it's not usually marked. You've got 1.5, 2 centimetres, you've got all the bigger ones, and you've got your centimetre one there. At my 1/2 centimetre, if you put your tape measure, there you go, if I line the 2 centimetre up with where the needle comes down, the edge of my foot is 1 centimetre, so that's 1 centimetre, that's my centimetre mark. 1/2 centimetre is this line here, so that's where I'm going to line my fabric up to. 1/2 centimetre seam allowance, and that's where you're going to start. So just a straight stitch all the way to the very end. Take the pins out as you go. And the reason that the scrubs are made with the French seam rather than using an overlocker, there's 2 reasons actually that I can think of. One, it makes it a very durable seam because they go through the wash quite a lot. And secondly, it's more comfortable for the doctors and nurses to wear something. I'll come across to the ironing board. To wear something that hasn't got raw edges. Even if you've overlocked your edges, you'll have a scratchy edge on the edge of your fabric, whereas with French seams it's all nice and smooth. Okay, turn your fabric through so you've got the seam facing you that you've just done, and press that seam to one side all the way to the corner like that, and then press it again, but have that seam right on the very edge of the fabric like that. And press that all the way down. You might want to use your pokey tool to get that corner out properly. There we go. I'm just going to turn that over so my pins are in the right way. Pop some pins in. Now if your fabric is fraying quite a lot, actually let's have a look at that. Yeah, it is. Then you might want to tidy that up and just cut those frayed edges off, because otherwise they will show. So just trim that edge back a little bit. You're now going to sew another 1/2 centimetre seam allowance, which will enclose this raw edge completely. Okay. Trim that back. Get rid of all those horrible ends. You can always do this with a rotary cutter if it's easier. probably quicker. Okay, so we've pressed this. I'll put a few pins in just to hold that in place. There we go. And then over to the sewing machine again. And you're going to sew another seam . Now got our fabric right sides together. This is our final seam that will produce the French seam. There we go. So when you turn it back through, that's your seam on the right side of the fabric. On the wrong side of the fabric, all your raw edges are enclosed, and this is what they're using for the scrubs bags and the scrubs uniforms.